is a running toilet. Even though the water in the tank looks full, the water is still continuing to fill. This is a big deal because what it can do is it can flood your septic tank, run up your water bill. It's not good. As you can see, there's a float on this toilet fill valve. And as the water rises, it pushes the float up. And as the float rises, it's supposed to close the valve so the water stops. But in this case, the toilet just keeps on going. Now, the easiest fix is your flapper. Sometimes that flapper has gaps or it's old and worn and water's seeping into the bowl and it's just gonna keep feeding it water. In this case, I know that this toilet fill valve needs to be replaced. So what I've done is I've gone to my local box store and I have purchased this. It's a universal toilet fill valve, and I'm going to show you exactly what to do. First, you want to turn your water off. So let's go ahead and do that. I've turned my water off at the meter. You may be on a well. In that case, you're going to want to shut the breaker off and then find wherever your shut-off valve is for your home. Sometimes it's in the crawl space, sometimes it's in a laundry room, if you're on a well, sometimes it's in a basement. Either way, make sure the water's off, and then once you do that, you're ready to go to the next step. Now, I have to take this off. And the way this connects is via a nut right here. But the problem is, if I were to take this supply valve, the supply hose off, or take this out, I'm gonna have a giant hole in this tank. This water's gotta go somewhere, and I don't want it on my floor. So we are going to flush, simple as that. Now when we flush, I'm gonna hold the flapper open. So as much as the water as I can goes into the bowl. Problem is the water is going to go below this flapper. You can see that I've still got about an inch of standing water in this toilet tank. It's a good amount of water, and all of it is still gonna fall out of this hole. So what I recommend you do is get your shop vac or wet vac. Now, if you're gonna do this, make sure to take your air filter out. If you don't take your air filter out, all the water is gonna go into this and it's just gonna get ruined. So if you're ever using a shop vac for water, make sure to take the air filter out because you're not vacuuming up dust and debris, you're vacuuming up water. All right, now go ahead and just stick this in there and let's turn it on. Now, we are ready for the next step. For that, I'm gonna try and set my phone up in a nice spot for y'all. Okay. So, what we need to do is we need to take off the toilet supply hose. And this just screws in on the bottom here. Now, you might still lose a little bit of water. So go ahead. Let's have a towel ready. But you're gonna lose a lot less water this way than you would if you didn't vacuum out the tank. Now, as you can see, the toilet hose has been disconnected. This is called your toilet supply hose. There's still a nut holding the fill valve into the toilet. Now, when we open up our new one, you'll see all the parts it comes with, okay? Here's that nut that's right here. It's in a bag, and I'll show you what everything else is for. Here's our fill valve. As you can see, as the water rises, it's gonna push this up. When that gets to its stopping point, it's gonna close a valve, and that will turn off the water going into your tank. So in this case, I'm gonna be using some channel locks, and I'm going to just get that loose. Doesn't take much. After that, you can kind of do it with your hands and fingers here. And that nut fell, so this is just going to pull right up. So this is the old one here. You can see how this rubber O-ring is just soft, and it's probably the original. Now, this is the new one. You're gonna have this rubber piece right here. That stays there. And when you set this into your toilet, you're gonna wanna orient it so this mechanism functions properly. And I'll show you what I mean here in a second. But first, I'm just gonna kind of get that set. I'm not gonna use the old nut, I'm gonna use the new one. And we are going to get this started with our fingers. Oops. All the way, and you truthfully shouldn't you need a tool for this. Just kind of do it with your hands. Get that as tight as you can. If you do need to use a tool, that's fine. You just want to get it on either side of those wing nuts, and you're just snugging it up. You're really not going crazy with this here. If you're keeping your toilet valve, or excuse me, your toilet supply line, go ahead and tighten that back on. Again, we're just getting it nice and snug. This does not have to be tightened with a tool. All right, now, in this kit, we have this rubber flexible hose and this little mounting piece. Now you'll see right here, there's a little nipple. That goes in to one side of the rubber tubing. Then we're gonna hop over here, and you're gonna see another side, or excuse me, another nipple that's a part of the fill valve. And you're just going to set that over, push the nipple into the rubber tubing, and I'll show what that looks like here in just a second. All right, now that is on, this is on, but what is that for? Well, I'll tell you, it's a clip. And it just kind of clips over this tube and will sit just like that. Now everything is connected. We've got this on, we've got this on. This is just how much water you're allowing into the tank. Counterclockwise will give you less water into the tank, so that'll actually save you a little bit of money because you're using less water per flush. If you want to have more water, maybe you have a husband that uses too much toilet paper, you're going to need a lot of water to get all that down. But in this case, we're listing this home on the market. We're going to have people showing. So I'm going to put it about right in the middle. I don't want to be using a lot of water for this. Now, everything is set up. We've tightened up our supply hose to the fill valve. We have tightened the fill valve to the tank with this nut. Our tube is going into the fill valve nipple, which connects to the mounting nipple. That's a part of this bracket. And we are ready to test. So, turn your valve on. This will start filling up. And what should happen is as the water pushes this float up, it's going to push it into a shutoff that will prevent the water from continuing to fill the tank. All right, we're getting pretty close here. The water level is rising. And just like that, The water has stopped. Now watch, when I push this down, I'm opening up the valve. If it pushes up, you're done. We'll give it a test flush. You'll see that the water is continuing to fill the tank, which is good. You want to look down here though, this is important. And we just want to make sure that nothing is dripping. Now you may have, maybe you had water on your hands and when you were tightening this, you got some water on the fittings. So get a paper towel or whatever towel you used, get all the moisture and the water off. Wait, and just make sure no drip happens. And this is one of the most important steps you'll take with any plumbing, any water fixture. Wait and be patient and make sure that there is no water, because you might have one drip every 2 minutes. So you wait for, let's say you stare at it for a minute, you don't see any water, you think you're good, you leave. Well, in our case, this is a home that's on the market. We might not have showings for a couple days. And that one drip every 2 minutes could eventually work its way to being a drip every minute, to a drip every 30 seconds. And now while you've been away, you have water all over your floor and you've costed yourself potentially thousands of dollars. So this is the most important step. Be patient. My rule of thumb is 5 minutes. I know that seems extreme, but when mistakes have happened and you've been the one to pay for it, you learn. So just trust me, 5 minutes, and make sure there's no drip. If there is a drip, tighten it, start in here, and you'll just kind of see where it's dripping from and just address it as needed. But anyway, that's that. Once you're done, put your lid back on, nice and gentle. Wipe around your toilet. Keep it nice and clean, presentable. And that's that. You just replaced a toilet fill valve. Good job.